Have you ever noticed that some people can chase an avoidant ex for months, send heartfelt messages, give them space, do everything they possibly can, and yet nothing happens? While someone else just walks away, starts living their life, and suddenly the avoidant is watching their stories, checking in, reaching out months later. Why is that? Well, it's not because they suddenly became more attractive overnight. And it's not because they found the perfect text message to send. The answer is actually a lot simpler than that. Avoidants become mentally preoccupied when one thing disappears. What is it? Well, stay tuned and you'll find out. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Lucia. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back or to get over your ex. And if you're not new, then welcome back. You are part of my no contact army. Okay, so people think avoidants become obsessed because someone loved them enough. No. Avoidants don't start thinking about you because they're given more attention. They become preoccupied because suddenly they don't know what's happening anymore. The human brain is not designed to obsess over things it's already figured out. It obsesses over unanswered questions, open loops, as I talked about in my video on the 7 reasons why no contact works on everyone. And I'll put the link to that on YouTube in the upper right-hand corner. So think about the last time that you couldn't remember someone's name. The harder you tried to stop thinking about it, the more it bothered you, right? And then the moment you remembered, your brain let it go. So psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. And that means that our minds stay engaged with things that feel unfinished, unresolved, uncertain. And relationships work the same way. If an avoidant feels like they already know exactly where you stand, how you feel, what you're going to do next, then their brain doesn't have much work to do. But when that certainty disappears, then their mind naturally starts trying to fill in the blanks. And if you would like for me to help you fill in the blanks and get your ex back, I am available for one-on-one coaching, and the link to that is underneath every single video and podcast. And you can contact us and we will send you the rates. And that's at theartoflove.net/coaching. So let's start with the biggest mistake people make in trying to get an avoidant to think about them. They chase them. However, chasing creates certainty. Every message says, I'm still here. Every emotional conversation says, you still have access to me. Every attempt to convince them says, I'm waiting. Now, the problem isn't that you're showing love and interest. The problem is that you're answering every question before they even have a chance to ask it. So the avoidant never has to wonder. And curiosity is where attraction or reattraction begins. And that's why no contact can be so powerful, because no contact removes pressure. Avoidants have extremely sensitive nervous systems when it comes to feeling overwhelmed emotionally. So when someone constantly reaches out, asks where their relationship is going, or tries to fix everything, their instinct is to get away. And when the pressure disappears, their nervous system finally relaxes. And that's when they begin remembering the relationship differently. So instead of focusing on escape, they're finally able to reflect. Now, notice that's very different from saying no contact magically makes someone fall in love. No, it creates the emotional space for reflection. However, here's what most people do in no contact. Yes, they stop texting or calling, but they never actually let go. Their entire day still revolves around whether the avoidant is going to reach out. They're still emotionally available. And avoidants believe that exes will always be there waiting, and that creates certainty. But when you begin rebuilding your life, you become less predictable. You're no longer organized around them, you're organized around yourself. And that's when they become curious and start thinking about you, because now they can't assume that they know what you're doing or whether they'll still have access to you. And if you would like help to stay in no contact, be sure to download my app Silencio. And that link is available, of course, underneath every single video and podcast. And the app, of course, is free. And if you still like to read, as some of us do, be sure to check out my book, No Contact Secrets, available at nocontactsecrets.com, where you can read 2 free chapters before you purchase the book. Now, have you noticed that people rarely appreciate oxygen until they can't breathe? We don't fully appreciate something that's always available. So as long as your avoidant believes that you'll always answer, always wait, always welcome them back, then there's very little urgency for them to move and for them to think about you. But once they realize, I don't actually know if this person's still there, then their brain is going to start asking some questions. Are they dating someone? Have they moved on? Did I make a mistake? Did I lose someone important? Now, notice that those questions did not come from pressure. They came from uncertainty. When an avoidant reaches out, that's usually when people accidentally destroy all the progress that they've made. So even if you've gotten them to think about you and reach out, now is not the time to mess things up. You don't stay on the phone talking to them for 4 hours. You don't pour every emotion out that you've been holding in. You don't ask about the relationship, because what's going to happen is that the avoidant is going to disappear again. Why? Because nothing changed. The pressure came right back. So instead, you have to let the conversations develop naturally. Leave while things are still positive. Let them wonder a bit. People remember anticipation more than satisfaction. So you have to let things play out according to how comfortable the avoidant is, not how desperate you are to get them back, because it's always going to be a lot slower than you would like. With my clients that we're trying to get an avoidant back, they have to be so patient, because there's going to be a lot of back and forth initially. So the people who seem to stay on an avoidant's mind the longest, they're not trying to stay on the person's mind. They're busy living, they're building careers, they're seeing friends, they're learning new things, traveling, growing. And it's not to get the avoidant's attention, but because life kept moving on. And that kind of independence doesn't just create mystery, it also creates respect. So if you remember only one thing from this video, remember this: avoidants don't become preoccupied because you chase harder. They become preoccupied when they can no longer predict you, when they no longer know exactly where they stand, when they realize that the person they thought would always be there might actually be moving forward. So if you're spending all of your energy trying to make an avoidant think about you, you're focused on the wrong goal. Focus on becoming someone whose life is so full and so meaningful and so emotionally healthy that whether they come back or not no longer defines your happiness. And ironically, that's often the version of you that they cannot stop thinking about. Okay? So now I want to hear from you. How long have you been in no contact, and how is it going? And if you want help understanding what your avoidant ex is really doing, make sure to subscribe, because I discuss no contact, avoidance, and what actually brings an ex back on this channel. And finally, remember, love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.